The Public Safety Committee meeting is now called to order. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Bosley. Alderman French. Present. Alderman Vaquero. Present. Alderman Cone. Present. Alderman Carter. Alderman Coder. Alderwoman Spencer.
Present.
Alderwoman Green.
Present.
Chairman Kennedy.
Here. That's all.
We have 6 present and we have a quorum.
Thank you. We have here before us today Board Bill number 3. Board Bill number 3 that's sponsored by Alderman Boyd. The plan today is to hear testimony from the sponsor of the bill and any individuals that the sponsor may wish to speak. And then we will open it up for public comment. We do have several individuals that have signed up for public comment today. We do thank those who are in attendance here today. Not every bill at the Board of Aldermen is required to have public testimony. In fact, this particular bill is not required to have it. But the sponsor wanted to be sure that we had a time period for public comment as a way to get that kind of input into the bill. And so at this point, we will have the sponsor to describe and review the bill with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. And again, thank you for being willing to have a committee hearing in the evening, which is, not our normal course of business. But I certainly want to make sure that business owners who might be interested in this legislation could go ahead and conduct their business for the day and have an opportunity to come and listen to what's going on. As most people know, especially on the north side, we have a proliferation of illegally dumped tires. One horror story I've had is in the 5700 block of Kennerly, we had as many as 400 tires mysteriously overnight appeared on a vacant lot. On a vacant lot that was actually next door to a home someone actually lived in. So I couldn't believe that, you wake up in the morning and all of a sudden there's 400 tires next door to you and no one heard anything or no one saw anything. And on a regular basis, as we move through the neighborhood, we continue to see tires not only in the alleys, but they're now starting to throw them on the street. I happen to represent Martin Luther King Boulevard, and oftentimes I see tires just sitting next to a trash can on MLK or sitting next to a fire hydrant. Certainly, we understand that these tires breed blight, slum, health hazard with water after rain, mosquitoes, and it's just something really, really bad for our community. I'm finding that mechanic shops, even local just candy stores, are deciding that they want to sell used tires. They put a sign out, they put tires all over the sidewalk, and they start selling used tires. I counted from Martin Luther King, from Sarah moving west, there's at least 7 tire dealers in that stretch. And no one does anything with the same standards. The Department of Natural Resources is the agency for the state that regulates the tire industry. All the good tire dealers are probably conducting themselves according to the state regulations. But unfortunately, the smaller ones, we can call them the mom and pop, that are just popping up, literally just popping up selling tires, I don't think they have a clue. And I'm looking for a way in which we can regulate from the city level, whereby if you want to be a tire dealer, you actually have to get a tire license. And when you get that tire license, it will be explained to you everything you need to do in order to conform with the state and the local code to be a tire dealer as well as a tire hauler. And again, it's only because we end up with thousands and thousands of tires throughout our city, and we're paying over $100,000 as a city every year to dispose of these tires. Last year alone, and I have to go fiscal year and apologize to the business owners I sent the letter to, because it was my understanding, I took it as calendar year, but it was really fiscal year, and I stated that we spent over $100,000 last year, and this year already we spent $130,000, but that was actually from the fiscal year that we spent $100,000, and our fiscal year goes from July the 1st to June 30th. So right now, we have spent over $130,000, $30,000 more than last fiscal year, and that's only up to April the 30th. And we're talking to Todd Walterman, who's our Director of Operation. The prediction is we're going to spend at least $160,000. Now, I didn't just come up with this legislation out of a vacuum and thought I was the smartest guy at City Hall and I'll just come up with some great legislation. Actually, I had a smart team of people that I was working with over a year ago. And it was Frank Oswald from the Building Division, Barbara Burkheight, I think I said her name right, from the City Councilor's office, Todd Walterman, when he was with the Street Department at the time, the Refuse Commissioner, I believe Randy or Nick sat at the meeting, but at least Refuse was represented. Someone from Forestry was represented. The Health Commissioner was represented along with her environmental inspectors. I made sure that every city agency that could possibly be affected in this legislation or just in the course of doing business with the city that would have a complaint about tires was at the table. What was born out of that, and we had several discussions, I have to give a lot of kudos to Barbara, the City Council's office, because she did a lot of the hard work. She communicated with the Department of Natural Resources, and she found out that the city of Kansas City actually has legislation, that they've enacted a tire code, and they have a couple of people that go out on a regular basis that kind of administer this program. They put on the ballot this fee structure because I was concerned about the Hancock Amendment. So they put on the ballot. They got it passed by the citizens of Kansas City, and they were able to enact their tire code. One thing that you would find in the original bill, there is no ballot language. However, I do have a committee substitute that I will talk about later that includes ballot language, because it's better to go before the voters and ask for it than to do it and need it and have to go back and undo something that unfortunately didn't have the right consequence that you intended to have. So I've passed out to show you over the past several fiscal years how much we've spent. It should be before each committee member, just so that you can get a chance to take a look at from 2012, how much money the city has been spending on illegal dumping. So just on 2012, we look at 102,000. I'm sorry, that's 13. I need bifocals, by the way, so pardon me. 2014, 88,000. 2015, 120,000. 2015, 120,000, and we're looking at 2016, about 130 as of today. But again, we'll probably end up more like 160,000. So that is how we came up with the tire ordinance. That's before you today. But then we looked at it and said, you know, we need to clean up a little more. So we came up with the committee substitute. One of the things the committee substitute does is it adds the ballot language in there. The other thing it does, it kind of cleans up some of the language that kind of didn't make a lot of sense. Also, we're changing, and I can kind of walk you through it real quickly. So you should have a marked up copy. Is that true, committee substitute?
Do we have the committee substitute in front of us then?
We do.
Okay.
You should.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I would like to put the committee substitute before the committee.
We can. Just put it before us for discussion.
Yes. So I'll make a motion that we put the committee sub in front of us.
We have a second? Second. Been moved and seconded that we put committee substitute for Board Bill 3 before the committee. Discussion on the motion? If not, Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman French? Aye. Alderman Vaquero? Aye. Alderman Cone? Aye. Alderwoman Spencer?
Aye.
Alderwoman Green?
Aye.
Chairman Kennedy?
Aye.
We have 6 ayes and 0 noes.
Thank you. So basically on page 1, you'll notice that the only thing that's really been added is the language about it being placed on the ballot, and then just some cleanup language from some original verbiage to some clearer verbiage at the bottom of the page. On page 2, there's no significant change, just some wordsmithing. On page 3, again, it talks more about the ballot measure on 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. On page 8, section 7 was added about if there's any conflicts between the tire code and any ordinance within the city of St. Louis that the tire code would supersede. Page 11, section 10, more has been added as far as permits required. Section 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 was also added, talking about the permit process, the duration, renewal, and the fees, the penalties, inspections. Again, section 16 talks about severability. If there's anything in here that happens to be inconsistent with state law, then it would be taken out, but everything else remaining. Page 16 and 17 is more wordsmithing. Page 20 talks about the fees going from $250 and change to $1,000 per year. However, I would talk about an amendment to that. We want to go ahead and take that out and just leave it at $250. On page 28, it also again talks about permit fee, striking out $250, going to no less than $1,000. But again, we'll be asking to take that out and just keep it at a flat $250. And the severability clause on page 36 was taken out because it was inserted in a different section. I would say that I was very pleased that several tire dealers called me about the legislation because they weren't sure what it was about. Some of them couldn't make it. There were, some positive feedback from it, but there also was some issues. And a few of the concerns was the tire dealers who are doing it the right way kind of feel like they're being penalized if there's a fee associated with this because they're doing it the right way, and it's the other people who are not doing it the right way. And I certainly respect that. The challenge is we can't just do nothing. We can't continue to move in the direction we've been moving into and allow people to just kind of do what they want to do. The State Department doesn't have a lot of inspectors that are running around doing inspections for all the ones that are out there selling tires. It's my understanding that they do annual inspections for the ones who are doing it the right way. For example, I've talked to Mr. Tucker, who I'm sure will come up here and testify, and he says, I'm inspected every year, Mr. Tucker with Tucker Tire. But the ones that are just popping up because they're a mechanic shop, Department of Natural Resources has no idea they're there. Therefore, they're not paying fees that are associated with, being a tire dealer. They're just getting away. They're storing them in ways that's inappropriate. In some cases, I've gone to some shops where they're stored outside. It must have been at least 100 or 200 tires. And if they catch fire, that could be disastrous for a neighborhood. Putting out burning tires, if you talk to a firefighter, is not always an easy task. So with that, I think I've pretty much summed up the intent of the legislation. I do want to hear from the business owners. I do want to make sure that this is a process that we can work collectively. It's not something that I want to just, shove down the throats of our business community, because I do know and respect those who are actually doing it the right way. But I am interested in getting some input of, how we can make this industry function better in the city of St. Louis.
What we'll do at this point then is to, get the public comment and then bring you back up.
Okay.
We had a sign-in sheet for those individuals who were interested in testifying before the committee today. I saw some other individuals come in after we had taken the sheet. Is anyone else interested in speaking before the committee today that may not have signed? Would you be sure to come up and sign?
Just as a note, there's a pro and a con column on there. Make sure that you're signing underneath the appropriate column.
Actually, we need a third column. And then, what is that? Okay. You'd like to, we have one other person.
I just want to get a copy of the bill.
They're right over there.
Oh, thank you.
This is the Public Safety Committee of the Board of Aldermen. When a board bill is first introduced, it is assigned to a committee, and then a committee hearing is called. This particular board bill was assigned to the Public Safety Committee, and this is the hearing that we're presently having. According to the rules of the Board of Aldermen, the chair of the committee can determine the time limits. Most of the time, we determine that by how many people sign up. So based upon the number of individuals that we have here, we'll give up to 5 minutes for your presentation before the committee. If someone has already said something that you were going to say, you don't have to repeat it. If you have something new to say, feel free to come forward when we call your name. I will do my best in pronouncing the names if I did it incorrectly. We do ask that you come up and identify yourself and give us your address before you begin making your comments. With that, we first call Mr. Sam Robato.
My name's Sam Robato. I own Robato's Auto Repair at 5400 South Grand for 45 years. I'm sympathetic to the city that has to pay the $130,000 for that, but I pay a business tax, and tires are an integral part of my business. Okay, I get checked once a year, and I'm sure you're aware that the state charges 50 cents a tire that I pass on to the customer pays it. And these fees are going to be passed on to the customer. And I'm concerned about more paperwork. I have so much paperwork now with and just all the personal property and just all other kind of paperwork. And I'm just curious as to why all the businesses in my neighborhood that I know have people picking up their tires that are legal, people that have licenses, and we get their license, and we keep records of every time they come and pick up the tires, and we pay, I think it's $2 a tire now. But the customer pays that, and I'm mainly concerned about more paperwork. And I'm concerned about, I heard the $1,000 mark around there. That's, when you're only selling maybe 100 tires a month, that's quite a bit of money that I'm going to have to pass on. And the big companies aren't going to pass that on. They're just going to absorb it. And small businesses can't absorb it. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Are there any questions, members of the committee? Alderman Cole?
So, Sam, I'm just curious, and I want to thank you for coming down this
Okay.
evening. Just as a personal disclosure, Sam is actually my auto mechanic, and I probably give him 4 or 5 tires a year that he needs to change out. So, you signed up underneath the pro column on the sign-in sheet. Do you have an opinion one way or another on this in terms of?
No, I'm kind of against the fee.
Okay.
I'm against the paperwork. If the paperwork's going to be, because when the 50 cent a tire came about with the state, the paperwork was, I had to hire somebody to do paperwork.
Yeah.
That's what I'm concerned about. And somebody did come by my shop, I have her name, and she checked my tires, and I have to do salt, put salt around for the mosquitoes and stuff like that. and I do that.
Do you think that an annual fee versus a per tire fee would be easier to administer, or?
I think an annual fee is probably the best.
Okay.
And what's happening is, if you could, we change tires. People come in and we put their tires on their wheels. And we ask them, do you want us to dispose of your tire, or do you want to take it with you? But when we tell them $2, they say, oh, no, I'm going to take it with me. Well, you know where that's going. It's going in a dumpster or in the alley. I personally don't see tires in my neighborhood. Do you?
Oh, I see a lot of them around the neighborhood, but I
Okay.
drive all the alleyways.
Right, okay. I don't
so,
see
yeah.
in my neighborhood where I
But most of
drive
them
around, I
are
don't see-
illegal dumping. You know, it's not the tire dealers that are dumping them over there. It's not
Right.
businesses such as
Right.
yourselves. The
And it
tires
is-
that end up in our neighborhood are generally coming
There
from.
there is a new machine that they have out that will cut the tire up, and we're allowed to put them in our dumpster. But that's $10,000,
Right.
and it has to be maintained, because it is a big piece of equipment, and there's more expense. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not against it, not for it, but it's the paperwork is what I'm
Yeah.
really against.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it, Sam.
That it?
Are there any other questions?
I may need an oil change.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. We do appreciate it. Next, we have Mr. Mike Tucker.
My name is Mike Tucker. I'm Tucker Tire Service down in the city, 3880 Washington, straight across from, Cardinal Ritter High School. We've been in business since 1946 in the city of St. Louis. We've been at that location right there since 1962. The tire disposal issue has always been a problem. I would say that the issue that we're talking about here is, I would say, close to maybe 85 to 90% car tires, not truck tires. And the issue is with a lot of these people that, like Jeffrey talked about, that are small people that are really not in a tire business. What they do is they buy some used tires from somebody, and then they put them on, and then they tell the people, you got to get rid of your own tires. Either that, or they do like what they do behind our warehouse, is, we got two guys over there on Natural Bridge that sell these tires over there, and in the back of our alley, behind our warehouse, it gets full of tires every once in a while, about a pickup load full of them. And it's an issue, but I really don't think that this issue is something that we need to put upon the tire dealers. This is an issue that, just like in Kansas City, which he talked about, and I'm on the State of Missouri Scrap Tire Advisory Board for the Department of Natural Resources. So I hear about this from Jeff City, Springfield, up north, down south, and everything else. And what the Kansas City did is they put ordinances in where if you get caught disposing of tires, you're going to get arrested. I don't know if St. Louis has any ordinances like that, but to put another fee on your tire dealers is just putting another layer on them of stuff they have to do. We are a scrap tire hauler, and we receive tires. Every time we do stuff, we have to have paperwork like this filled out for this the state of Missouri. The Department of Natural Resources comes to our place, and they want to see paperwork of us getting rid of the tires and everything else. And to put another layer on the people that are trying to make a living in the city of St. Louis, I think is an unnecessary burden. In the letter that Jeffrey Boyd sent us, he told us that last year the city did $120,000 in scrap tires, and they did in this year $130,000. Tucker Tire Service, since October 1st of 2014 to September 30th of 2015, spent $35,313, and that is us filling 53-foot trailers full of tires several times a month. In the summertime, we average 3 to 4 trailers a month in getting rid of tires. And since October 1st of 2014 to May 31st of this year, which was just a month, not even a month ago yet, we spent $62,087 on getting rid of scrap tires. So the city's spending a lot more money, and I don't know how they're getting rid of their tires, but I'm, in my personal opinion, I think there's got to be a little bit more of an efficient way to do it than what they're doing it. I don't know where they're sending them or how they're doing it or what, but, I mean, we get rid of a lot of tires. And we are audited by the state of Missouri on a regular basis. We either get an annual or a biannual inspection on scrap tires. And to put the burden of more paperwork on us and to put another fee on us, which we have to pay fees to do this with the state, I don't see it being necessary, because I don't see the city, if the city would have, ordinances where if they see somebody getting rid of the tires, they can, get the business. Why are you putting another fee on us? That's my question.
Alderman Vaccaro?
So, obviously, I was in the auto repair and tire, we did tires, and I don't remember all the paperwork unless that's changed. And I haven't done it in about 6 years, but I know that we would charge the customer fee, and then we would call tire shredders in, or they would call us every month and pick them up. But I don't remember anything ever being audited unless it changed, that if we sold 100 tires, that we had to have 100 used tires to go out. I don't remember ever being audited on that. In other words, we had to make sure that whoever we had come in and get the tires, which was tire shredders, that they counted the tires that left, and we had to make sure it was a legitimate tire dealer. But I don't ever remember having to keep inventory of used tires, because again, I agree, some tires go out with the customers, not every tire stays there. And there was,
We quit letting customers take the junk tires.
I know, but not, is that a state law now or something, or that's just your policy?
No, I mean, the state of Missouri comes in and audits us. And the lady, when she came back last time, she wanted us to give her a daily count of how many tires we do. And tire shredders won't even touch us because they say we have too many scrap tires.
Well, I understand, but there's no law that I remember unless it changed and that requires
That's exactly what the lady said to us. She goes, I want to know how many tires you sold, and then I want each one to be accounted for. And I said, you can't do that because we're in the retreading business, we're in the repair business, and we also sell new tires and used tires and all that. I said, for every one tire we sell, we don't have a tire because people send tires into us to be retreaded, truck tires. Right. And so, that it just.
But, so, I'm just curious as much as anything. So you're saying now you have to account for every tire that you put on a car?
We're a scrap tire hauler.
I know, okay, but a regular shop, just like we used to do, that we didn't have to account, there was no accounting. In other words, if we sold 100 tires, some of them went with customers, some of them did whatever, but I don't remember any extra accounting unless it's changed. Then we would just call tire shredders when our bin got full, and they'd come out, and then we would sign off on how many tires they took. But I don't ever remember there being an accounting that we had, if we sold 100 tires, that we had to have 100 tires hauled off. And it could have changed. I'll have to look this up, but, I was doing this. So every tire that comes in.
Every tire you mount, they want to know what'd you do with the tire that came off.
So you say it went with the customer, or that, and you have to keep every one now? You pass the cost on to the customer. What if the customer wants to take his tires? So you don't charge the customer. Would it be better if you came up, because I can't hear from back there? And this is more from my own.
We pay 50 cents a tire to the state, every tire we sell. We have
Right.
to keep that books on
understand.
all the tires we sell. It doesn't have to match up to what we get rid of. It's just that it's paperwork. I have to count every tire, it's a quarter, and we pay the state 50 cents a tire, which I pass on to the customer,
Right.
which is okay.
Which we did.
But the problem is the paperwork. We have to count all the tires we sell every month, and the bookkeeper has to fill out a form, and it's a separate check sent to the state of Missouri. Now, when they leave, we have to have every tire accounted for that leaves.
See, now, we used everything we sold, whether it was a water pump, a tire, whatever, you know, we had a computer, and every part and every ticket that was generated basically accounted for all the paperwork.
Oh, yeah, I don't have that type of system.
And I would assume you
I
guys-
count my tires.
I assume you guys have, you know,
We pay by the trailer load. We don't count the tires.
you don't count the tires either.
But, I mean,
So I'm just trying to find the,
We have counted the tires
I'm-
before, and we can tell, we can give you an approximation of how many tires are in the trailer. But, you know, we put OTR tires, which are big tires, and then we put truck tires, and then we put car tires, and we put light truck tires, and we put forklift tires. All that stuff goes into the 53-foot trailer.
right, well,
And then when the tires leave out, we put down what we did, and then on the back, they sign it, and it's saying where they're taking the tires to. That's what our paperwork does.
right, okay, because I'm sympathetic, but at the same time, I just don't remember it being that
Well,
much of an accounting system,
It
because
sounds like what you're.
every ticket we generated in a computer. You know, we used that
What the
Snap-on
city's doing
system.
right now is putting another layer on us for what? That's what I want to know.
Well,
Why?
and
Because
I
we're
think-
already, the Department of Natural Resources is coming to us and auditing us already. And they're coming in and they want to see the receipts, they want to see all this, and they want to see everything that we're doing. And now, all of a sudden, we're going to have to do that, and then we're going to have to do it for the city also, and then pay the city so that they can come in and do that. And we're already paying a fee for haul, you know, to be a hauler for the state of Missouri. Now we have to pay a fee to be in the city of St. Louis?
And the fee's, what, $250 for a year, and if you average it out per tire, it was probably pennies.
Pardon me?
It is.
I mean, if you average it out per tire, at $250
It's
is
more
not a
money
lot.
coming out of what we do to go to the city, but why? You know, the city needs to go after these people that are, you
I
know,
don't-
sitting there and they got a sign out in front that says used tires, and it's painted on a board. And
Did you-
and they do that. That's,
Alderman, did you get your question answered?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to see what the accounting was more than anything.
Okay. Were there any other questions from members of the committee? If not, thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mike Silva.
Good evening. My name is Mike Silva. I own Advanced Auto Service. We've been in business for 59 years. I'm a second generation. We're at 6123 Gravois. We sell tires. We don't sell a lot of them. I got them. It's a convenience for my customer. We have the 50 cents per tire. We have to account for that. However, yes, the used tires go in the back of the building. They're just sitting there. So what we do is, and I don't know how anybody else does, we just call tire shredders. They pick them up. We do cut a hole in them. We drill a hole in them so that they'll drain. They won't hold water. They're easier to load up for tire shredders. The guys don't get all wet. They don't harbor mosquitoes, and nobody can go back there, take them, reuse them, put them on their car. They're just totally disabled. I don't know if, I think it's fair charging the per tire tax for somebody like me. Why should I pay a license fee for someone that sells thousands of tires and I sell 30 tires? I think per tire is good for me, or even like Sam. You know, we're not really big tire dealers. That way it seems more even to me. The fire department is aware that I have tires. They come over, they do it by a physical check. They know that if there's a fire, that I handle tires. We don't give the customer an option. We take care of the tires. They can't take them. We don't give them that option. We take care of it from the get-go. We tell them they can't have their tires. They don't want it anyway. I think if the city had a central drop that people could dispose of tires, and then align yourself with, like, tire shredders, ask them, listen, we've got a central drop, could you pick these up? Would you align yourself with us? We got a problem. We'll have them here. Could you pick them up and dispose of them? We'll arrange a portion of the fee and get rid of that. Batteries, they had a problem with batteries years ago. They were throwing batteries in the river. They were throwing them everywhere, excuse me. Okay, so what'd they do? They put a core charge on battery of $18 a battery. Well, my gosh, you can bet. I don't leave no battery outside the shop. I'm going to keep it because it's worth 18 bucks. So I keep an eye on it. A battery sold, give them back a battery. If they need to do something with tires, that's what they need to do. They need to do it from the manufacturer. Every tire you got's got to be accounted for. Put a core charge on it, let it go somewhere, account for it. You know, I know it'd probably be a bunch of paperwork, and none of us want more paperwork. You know, and it'd probably be pretty easy if the state of Missouri, it just double the fee, double the tax fee. Go from 50 cents to $1, that'd double it. That'd give you your other $10,000 that you need to take care of your problem, align yourself with tire shredders, and be done with it. That's what I have.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the committee? If not, thank you very much.
Excuse me.
You had a question?
I'm so
Pardon
sorry,
me, we did
Mr.
have one question.
I did have one question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The question was about, you were talking about a per tire charge, and that you were speaking of the state charge. Is that correct? Or-
Yes.
Because we don't have a per tire charge in the ordinance. It's my understanding.
Oh, don't we pay a 50 cents per tire? We have to pay for every tire we buy, we have to account for?
That's for the state of, that's with the
State.
state of Missouri.
The
And so
state.
the city
Oh,
doesn't
the
do
city
that.
doesn't,
Okay,
yeah.
right, the city doesn't.
Okay.
I was asking for, I think some of us were a little bit confused about to
Okay.
what you were
Well,
referring.
I stand corrected then.
That- Okay, that
Maybe
clears it
they
up.
need to
Thank
get
you.
it, align yourselves with the state and grab that
Sure.
extra 50 cents and say, St. Louis, let's get some of that.
Thank you again. I believe that, thank you. Our next speaker is Barry Dicker.
Barry Dicker. My brother and I, Ricky, have owned Wedge Tire Company for the last 46 years. We missed the first part of the meeting because of traffic, so excuse us for that. So I missed a lot of the comments made by Mr. Boyd.
Would you give the address where you're located?
Certainly, it's 2011 North Broadway in downtown St. Louis.
Continue, thank you.
I made a few phone calls today to a few other tire dealers in the city of St. Louis to find out if they were going to attend the meeting tonight. They didn't know anything about it. I faxed them. They were probably busy, couldn't make it. One question I have is, was every tire dealer in the city of St. Louis contacted via your letter?
No, if you would address the committee.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
We'd like to hear your testimony, and then you can get those kind of questions.
Testimony is this. When my brother and I looked at the cover letter, it had indicated there was $130,000 spent in 6 months to remove the tires. We immediately went back and saw how much we spent in a 12-month period of time. We've been around a long time. We do a lot of business. We take care of and service some of the biggest companies in St. Louis. Okay? Boeing, Pepsi-Cola, Clayco Construction. Our bill after I added everything up for the 12-month period of time, came out right at $25,000, which is a sizable difference from a 6-month tab of $130,000. If that's the case, we would appreciate to make that bill public so we can look at and see how that money was spent. I'm not going to reiterate a lot of the stuff that the other people have already spoken about, okay? But when you have companies like Tucker, like Wedge, you're talking a lot of time in the city of St. Louis. We've got records in regard, when we send out, they do. Where's the guys with all these little used tire shops that line up Martin Luther King Drive or in the north side of the city? Where are they? Were they notified? Businesses like us aren't going to go in the yard and take junk tires and go down to South City and drop them in an alley. We're way too good to do that, okay? We've been in business way too long. There's more people that should be here tonight. There's more people that should have been notified if they weren't, because I don't see the list of who was and who wasn't. Another situation that I haven't heard anybody talk about tonight, individuals, not tire companies, individuals drive by, pickup truck, open the back, dump them. We have them on camera. We have a high-end camera system at Wedge Tire Company, okay? We could pick up the license numbers, a lot of which come from Illinois, okay? That's where the problem is. Good businessmen that have been with the longevity that we have over the years. And I see people in here that I've sold tires to. They wouldn't come to us if we were under the cover, okay? The tire dealers are straight, okay? The problem is you got people coming through for whatever reason and then just dumping them in an alley. $130,000 worth of tires? Man, that's a lot of tires. You know, divide that up by $2 a piece and tell me how many units there are. I'm not going to get involved with the permit and the fee and the this and the that, okay? I'm too old to do that, okay? I've been around a long time, okay? But there's other issues that need to be addressed other than just going up to good business people who've been in business for a long time trying to make ends meet and then get hit with a tax or a fee, a permit. You know, we're the police. Why aren't they patrolling around these alleys and the streets where all these tires are supposedly dumped? Where are they at? Why aren't they catching them? $130,000, man, the police can catch them if they close their eyes, okay? There's some questions that we have, you know, regarding the research on Mr. Boyd's letter. The amount is just totally exorbitant, totally, and it's way out of whack. So there's a few things that need to be researched, looked at,
Right.
you know, before you keep moving on, because it's not fair. It's not fair. Okay?
Thank you. I believe we have some questions or comments from members of the committee.
I
Alderman
just
Vaccaro.
want to explain, and again, I'm sympathetic, I was in the business, but,
Say it again.
I'm sympathetic, I was in the business, but Here's the differences. One, it's a fiscal year, which means it's been a year, not 6 months. And 130,000 sounds high, but if I threw a whole bunch of tires in the corner of this room and told you to send your employees over to pick them up, put them in a truck and haul them, that's going to add to the cost. We kept our tires in a bin, and we charged the customers, we passed it along, and it was easy, tire shredder came along. But if our tires were scattered all over the city and we had to send out people every day, you know, like if I said to you, you can do this for $20,000, we'll give you the job, and I send you out every day, and I say, well, there's 50 tires way over there, there's 20 tires way over there, there's 10 tires over here, there's 15 over there.
Are you stocking these tires? Are you?
No,
are
I'm
you-
talking about tires that are being thrown out in the alleys and stuff. I'm trying to explain it's a lot more than the cost of what it costs to shred a tire. It's the amount, it's the cost of sending crews out to go gather them. If they dump 20 tires in somebody's alley, a crew has to go out and get those 20 tires. If they throw 10 tires in an alley somewhere else, a crew has to go out. So if you spend so many days, but that's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to explain where the 130,000, if everybody would throw them in one spot, yeah, tire shredders could come in and you pay so much a tire. A lot of that cost is going out and picking the tires up, sending crews out, sending trucks out. So I just wanted to correct you on,
Crew out for 10 tires here, 25 tires
Right.
here. It's not $130,000 worth of tires?
When it's
I-
covered underneath 69 square miles,
it adds up. I'm just trying to explain where the cost of, it comes from. It-
How
it-
did they get there?
Well, people,
How did the tires get there?
right, and it isn't good dealers, I mean,
Well, it's not his fault.
I understand. We did the right thing too, we kept the tires, we called tire shredders. I think the issue is that there's a cost in cleaning them up, and unfortunately, it's being passed along to the people that are doing the right thing, but the city has to come up with ways to fix these problems. Money's always an issue in the city. And again, I used to be in this business, my cousin's in this business, we buy tires, or we bought tires from these guys. You know, we had the Hampton location, my cousin's got white front, so we, I get it. But even in a small shop like my cousin's shop, I mean, what we're really talking about is almost pennies. And it's almost pennies, it's not a real big expense. And it is unfortunate that the good businesses have to, and you're gonna pass it along to your customers. But it's an issue in the city, and, it's how do we clean up a problem? And, I don't think there's anybody in this room saying that any of these tire dealers are not doing the right thing. I agree that everybody in here, and we've dealt with people in this
Wouldn't
room.
come here today if they
I know.
weren't doing the right thing.
But I'm just saying, it's an issue, and we're forced into, neighbors that call us up, and I don't have that issue as much as some, but we're forced into people calling us saying, deal with it. So we have to come up with ways, how do we deal with it? And I don't think that anybody at least I can tell you me.
You need to
there's
catch
nobody-
the culprit
It-
who's dropping the tires.
If it was that simple, it would have been done a long time ago. It's just unfortunate.
Well, then, okay, I got that. I respect that, okay?
Okay. Alderman, did you complete
Then
your
you're-
Yeah,
comments there?
no, I just wanted to explain it.
But then you're
that's
taking
been-
the tire dealers and say, here, you
Yeah.
pay for it.
Well, and the tire dealers are going to give it to their customers. So, it just goes on down the line, but it's a way
Okay.
it's a way to address a problem.
Thank you. We'll stop it there at that point.
One more thing
Thank you.
about Wedge Tire Company. Approximately 60% of our business is forklift tires. You don't pick up many of those, okay? They're solid.
Okay.
They're steel encased, okay? And
Okay.
those get shipped out by the trailer loads.
All right.
And, I mean,
We got it.
there's no place to hide them, okay?
All right, thank you.
But it's done the proper way. Your people are the natural, whatever they are. They've come in and checked it,
Right.
and we try to keep it up to snuff, okay? It's not a money-making thing, okay? It's a bleeder, okay? It's a bleeder. But we're concerned. We've been in the city for a long time. That's why we're here,
Okay.
And we have anything, question-wise you got for us, we'll be more than happy to answer anything you got.
Okay, thank you.
All right?
Thank you for your
Thank you.
testimony. I mentioned this at the beginning before we started the testimony, that there are certain bills that come before the Board of Aldermen that require public input and public hearings, hearings where you take testimony. This is not one of those kinds of bills. The sponsor of this legislation wanted to have this public testimony, a hearing in the evening, so that we could hear from the various citizens their thoughts and ideas. It is not a requirement in this instance to do it. The sponsor was very adamant about making sure we got this input. The sponsor also took it upon himself to send out notices about this meeting, because there is no provision to have notices for meetings like this one. So the sponsor took that, and so those individuals that did get letters, that is because the sponsor of this legislation wanted to be sure that it happened. This committee also is very supportive of having public hearings in the evening and has had a number of them. And so then there was no question when he requested to have an evening meeting, the committee was very supportive of that and is here today listening to the testimony. Your testimony does make a difference. It does help a committee and members of this Board of Aldermen get a sense of what the public thinks about it. And oftentimes, it has helped shape legislation. And so you've seen some alder people talking. They were not trying to ignore your testimony. They were really discussing things that they had heard and ways of trying to incorporate these ideas into the bill. And so this completes this section of our hearing where we're having the public testimony. You're still welcome to sit and to hear the rest of the meeting, because now we will bring the sponsor up, who will discuss it further and bring the amendments that we have. I believe some of these amendments also reflect what was heard here today in the testimony. Again, we thank all those who signed up today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There were over 178 letters that went out. And unfortunately, sometime, as we know in the mail, people don't get it in the mail. And I don't know what to say about that, but how we came up with 178, we actually had the neighborhood improvement specialist about a year ago go around each ward and identify people that were selling tires. Some of them were people that didn't have, the name of their business had nothing to do with tires, but we made sure that they got a letter. So that's how we came up with 178. And, we did the best we can in notifying people. I am pleased that we have some very credible business owners that came out tonight and have some concerns. I think I want to hear more from the business owners. I would like to have this on a November ballot. That was my intent, is to try to have this on a November ballot, but I am not married to that idea. So the business owners who came today, if they're willing to meet with the group, I'm certainly open to sit down and talk more to see if we can come up with some type of resolution, because what I heard was some of them get inspected by the Department of Natural Resources. They are doing it the right way. So if we came up with a tire code, maybe we could waive the fee for those we know are already being regulated and inspected, as long as they can prove and show proof that they have their inspections. Because it certainly would save us time and money if we did it that way. So I'm open, to their suggestions to make this a better bill. Certainly when we do legislation, there's no such thing as a perfect bill. And good leadership says to me, listen to the people, and our business owners, even though some of them may not live in our neighborhood, they're still our constituents. And so I am sympathetic, to listening to them, hearing what they have to say. They've been in the business a very long time, and I'm just going to hold amendments and ask to hold the bill at this time, and then we'll do more due diligence on this, because public discourse is a wonderful thing, and that's something that I certainly appreciate. And again, I just want to, thank those who did come out. Exactly. And as the other gentleman said, it should have been easily 50 business owners here. Right. I'm sure at least 100 got the letter. And I know I got at least 5 phone calls where I've actually talked to 3 of them that are not here who said they would like to come, but other commitments they couldn't come. So I know there's an interest. They were interested. They did read it. They did reach out. So with that, Mr. Chairman, unless I'll take questions from you about the bill.
There'll be,
but
I believe,
would-
a few comments and questions, and then
Sure.
we'll end it. Nothing over here. Alderman Cone?
Alderman Boyd, I really appreciate all of your work on this. I know these types of bills are not easy to carry, and certainly appreciate all of the effort that you put into engaging the business community and getting their feedback on it. You and I have already talked about some of this offline, so but when I came back here, I just wrote down like the 4 things that I had questions about. And hopefully, as you're working through the amendments to the committee sub, since that's been adopted, we can talk through these as well. But the first is, we're updating the city code here, but where this falls underneath the city code, I think is important, because when you look at the 26 different things that are on the code, there are things that are really important to the city, like budget and finance, personnel, zoning, things of that nature. And, there's 26 different classifications underneath there: health and safety, vehicles and traffic, building and construction. I don't know how comfortable I feel with like the 27th code being tires. So maybe finding some place to fit the tire code in the code would be helpful for me. And then I've heard testimony tonight about, the fee, and I guess maybe you are going to follow up on that with the business owners in terms of, a per tire fee versus a flat fee versus, you even just mentioned the waiver for folks that are already in compliance with state code, which sounds really interesting and intriguing, and I'm curious how that might work. But, you already addressed the dates in terms of when it would need to go on the ballot. And then the 4th thing, which I know we have a representative from the building division here to possibly talk about this, but I am curious about just the permitting process and the application process, and then the administration of permits and how we're going to enforce the law once it's out there. So I don't know if we want to take that testimony tonight or wait until, we come back with the revised bill to talk through that with the building division, just so that we have a better understanding of the implications of the bill, and the enforcement of it once it passes, and if it passes. So, but I appreciate this. Illegal dumping, and particularly of tires, is something that I get phone calls about. And I remember just last year, I had mountains of tires that were being dumped all across my neighborhood. And so it certainly is a problem down in the 25th Ward from time to time. So, I really appreciate your efforts, being put into this very much. Thank you.
Any other comments? Well, I appreciate your hard work on it also. And anyway, I believe other members of this committee may have some other thoughts for you, as well as might be interested. When you have a meeting, let us know if you need us there.
Sure, and I certainly would appreciate that if you get a chance to really, read the bill in depth and you had some comments or suggestions, that would definitely be helpful. I'm probably going to try to meet while we're out of session, take advantage of all this free time.
What free time? No, but this is also a good example of what we're talking about, how public testimony can help shape how bills are ultimately introduced or passed here at the Board of Aldermen. So thank you for all your work.
And I certainly, when I have the meetings, I will definitely make sure you know about it, and if you want to attend, certainly open to that. So,
Okay.
And again, thank you for being willing to indulge me with an evening meeting, and like you said, I know you've done it before, but it's, we don't often want to meet in the evenings, so.
Well, this committee has met a lot in the evening. So
That's because you're a tough chairman. They know if you say do it, they have
they
to
have
be
the
there.
best- And on time. Okay, if there's we have no other agenda items for today. With that, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you for all coming.